Hello, everyone, and thanks for listening to the Quality Hub, chatting with ISO experts. I'm your host, Xavier Francis, and today I'm here again with Suzanne Weber-Smatko, Manager of Consulting Services, again from CORE. Glad you could join us for the umpteenth time. It's always a pleasure having you here.
As always, it's great to be here.
So the next 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about the context of your organization. But before we dig into that, let's learn a little bit about Suzanne. Maybe we haven't learned before, like what's your very favorite vacation destination?
Just recently, this summer, went to the Keys.
Ooh.
Got to enjoy that a little bit. First time in the Keys. Been in Florida a lot, but never down there. It's like its own little land.
Yeah.
Loved it.
That's great.
It was great.
I've been into every state but Alaska, and I've only ever crossed into Canada and Mexico. But I have to go to Alaska. I have to get that out of
Yes.
It's on my bucket list.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad that the Keys are awesome for you. And let's talk about the context of the organization now.
Yeah. Let's get excited.
So let's get excited about this.
Yes.
No, but this is actually a pretty important part. And
Absolutely.
something that we start with when we look at our QMS when it's in its infancy. So what are the internal and external issues that are relevant to an organization's purpose and strategic direction, and how could they impact its quality management system?
Well, you've got to separate them between internal and external. Internal, for sure, it includes things like your organizational structure, your employee competency, resource availability, operational processes in your company. For example, limited workforce expertise or outdated technology could definitely affect product quality and service.
Okay. Can you give me some examples how they might affect or could impact your quality management system?
Well, sure. Just using those two examples with limited workforce expertise, it's the people on our shop floors that are making the product or our team members that are delivering a service to a company. If they don't have, typically we hire people based on competencies and their qualifications, right? But they still have to, you still have to do a little bit of training when they come into your facility because every company does things a little bit differently.
Right.
But that's got to be strong. You do have to hire people that are qualified, or you have to have a good training in place, because if you have a workforce that has limited expertise or experience, then it could become a risk.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and overall, we're talking about risks here. We always want to think about the way that you're delivering to your customer. Right. And if you don't have qualified experts or people that have been trained properly, they deliver poor quality.
And I guess that's one thing, like if you're looking at that, again, we're looking at the context of everything. Maybe sometimes it's better if they're not trained or that they're new to it, because then you can train them the way you want to versus, well, I used to do it this way, and that's what I'm used to.
Yes.
So that's kind of also within the context of looking at it. How do you want to manage those people when you're hiring? Do you want them to be like, yeah, they're familiar with computer and they have computer skills, but it doesn't mean that they've already done something that might conflict with how you guys do it.
When we talk about context of the organization, what does that mean, right? That is basically, you got to think risks.
Yeah.
You have to understand as a business what the risks are that are introduced to your business.
Right.
Okay. And then the expectation is that you're going to take some action on those risks, which I think we're going to get into later on.
Yep.
But when we talk about these examples, the operational processes, outdated technology, they all, could potentially introduce risks to your business.
Yep. Absolutely. What about external risks?
External risks are things like, competitive market, any type of regulatory changes, customer expectations and requirements are always evolving. They all can significantly impact your QMS. For instance, stricter industry regulations, they might require you to make some updates and changes to your quality control processes.
Okay. Well, those are some good examples of what might happen with external risks that you're looking at.
Yes.
So who are the relevant interested parties or stakeholders that affect or are affected by the organization's QMS? And what are their expectations or requirements?
Yeah. So when you're implementing a quality management system, you're required to identify who your interested parties are.
Okay.
And basically that's any stakeholder that's interested in your business.
Okay.
So some of the interested parties that you might identify are customers, suppliers, employees, regulatory bodies, shareholders, For environmental, it might be, your township,
Yeah.
But you have to understand what their requirements are.
What they're expecting.
Yeah,
from
what
you.
they're expecting of you. And you have to have that defined. So, for example, customers, they expect consistent product quality.
Absolutely.
They expect on-time delivery. They expect value for their money.
Yeah. They want to get what they're paying for.
Yeah. Suppliers, for example, you need to set clear expectations and flow down of requirements, right? Reliable demand forecasts so that you can get your product
Hey, can
in.
we have that next week? It's Thursday.
Oh, yeah. You don't even know how many times that has become, a constraint for businesses that I've worked for.
Yeah, I'm going to need you to come in on Saturday.
Yeah. And suppliers, they need timely payment, right? And then, employees, it's the expectation of the business to, provide to them a safe working environment, career development, opportunities, job security, and most importantly, for me, effective communication.
Yeah.
If you're not effectively communicating with your employees, then, it's just not good business.
Well, they
practice.
don't know what's expected. Sometimes it's not just like no news is good news.
Yeah.
Compliment them.
Yeah.
Give them ideas.
Yeah.
Listen to them.
Yeah.
Engage them. Engagement isn't just when you need something from them. It can be, hey, how you doing? Hey, you see anything different here? So, not just everything's going fine. Why do I need to talk to them? Oh, you need to talk to them.
You'll be surprised how many businesses learn that they have to. Your employees. It's a requirement for your employees to understand how they contribute to your quality management system, regardless of what standard. Right? It's important that they know. Right? So, in a nutshell, I'll just take an example. You're measuring things. Most of what you measure, whether it's production efficiencies, customer satisfaction, on-time delivery, they all contribute to that.
Right.
They all contribute to how well or not well a company is doing.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I know here we do a weekly check-in with managers, and it's not even, initially it was kind of like, why do I have to check in every week? What am I doing wrong? Are they going to kind of micromanage? It's more like, hey, how you doing? Where are you at?
Yeah.
Take a half an hour a week.
Provide support, right?
Exactly.
If something's not working, let me know what's not working.
Exactly.
And let me know what's not working so I can support you. Because if you don't have that open dialogue. So employees is really an important interested party. Regulatory bodies, regardless again of what standard, they expect you to be compliant with legal or safety standards or whatever it might be that you're
and they'll
working
probably
to.
show up at the worst time.
Yes.
To make sure that you're meeting their safety standards and expectations.
Yeah. And more importantly, you've got shareholders or owners, right? What do they need? Well, it's obvious. I'm in business to make money.
Exactly.
So they need, they need profit, sustainable growth, and to maintain a good reputation.
Absolutely. So how does the organization monitor and review information about external issues such as market trends, regulations, and technological developments that might affect a QMS?
Yeah. Well, the organization conducts regular, our company or an organization might conduct regular market analysis, engage in industry forums, subscribes to regulatory updates to stay informed. Technology developments are reviewed through, collaboration with technical partners, attending trade shows.
Yeah.
External consultants, they may be engaged to ensure compliance to new regulations.
Well, I know one thing that we do here that's really good is we're allowed to, when we have a little bit of downtime, or when I say downtime, like we're not working on a project or we finish something up, we're able to go and educate ourselves, look into what's going on. So in my field, what I'm doing here, I can go and check out things. And that's another way of employee engagement. You can gain some of that new information about some of those external things that might be relevant to the individual or group of employees as well.
Yes.
So it's not just something that senior management or management has to do. It can be something from the top down as well.
Absolutely.
So what internal factors such as organizational culture, which we did talk a little bit about, values and resource availability really influence the effectiveness of your QMS?
Let's start with culture.
Okay.
So a culture of continuous improvement and innovation supports a QMS by encouraging proactive problem solving or process enhancements. Let's not wait until we get there before we do something.
Right.
It's a little bit more of a proactive approach than a
versus
reactive.
being reactive.
Yeah.
What about values?
Well, values, the organization's commitment to customer satisfaction drives quality initiatives. It ensures that customer feedback is integrated into the QMS.
That's really important.
Yeah. I mean, I work a lot with ISO 9001, AS 9100. You have to have a formalized customer feedback process. And, it's important that you are able to quantify or document that feedback so that you can use that information to maybe identify areas of improvement.
Yeah, I know we talked about that earlier. I'm not sure if it was with you, but earlier this year on a podcast of how core we have some specific customer
feedback
surveys and stuff like that. Yep.
Yes.
That you can utilize.
It's documented. A lot of people, they want to show up to a management review or they want to talk about customer satisfaction, and they truly, truly don't understand the importance of documenting it, having that formalized process, because, we continue to get orders. So the customers must, they're happy.
We have business, right? So everybody must be good.
Yeah. But you are required to do or have to some type of formalized process, and really it's valuable. It's valuable.
What about resources?
Well, resources, we spoke a little bit about availability of skilled personnel.
Yeah.
The modern technology and, adequate financial resources are critical too.
If you're going to continue to grow, there's going to be some capital involved.
Yeah. I mean, that's, limitations on any of those areas can impact quality objectives, or whatever it is that you're measuring, KPIs, quality objectives, and process efficiency.
Okay. So how does an organization determine the scope of their QMS? And what boundaries and applicability have been established based on these internal and external factors?
Well, the scope of the QMS is determined by considering products and services that your organization provides. The processes needed for production and the internal and external factors influencing these. Okay. I mean, the QMS covers all departments that are directly involved in product and delivery of goods. It could exclude things like, research and development, right? I mean, it's not, until you get to a design phase,
right.
If you're design responsible, until you get to a design phase and you're verifying and validating your designs, it might exclude things like research and development.
So what risks and opportunities has the organization identified that could affect its QMS, and how are they managed and ensured for intended outcomes?
Well, risks, they can include things like changes in customer preferences, supplier disruptions.
That can be a big one.
Cybersecurity threats.
Another big one.
Right? They're all identified risks. I mean, mitigation plans include diversifying suppliers, maybe investing in some IT security and maintaining close customer relationships. Opportunities may include something like expanding to new markets and adopting new manufacturing technologies to offer growth potential. An organization typically has initiatives in place to invest in automation and explore emerging markets to increase their competitiveness. Because again, you have that stakeholder, that's that owner, right? They're thinking about these things.
Yep. And I know that we've talked about some of these in detail. I know specifically cybersecurity. It's something that our president, Scott, really looks at as a form of quality. That if you're not protecting customer data,
absolutely,
all of that type of stuff, and you can let it get out in the wild, I mean, it's dangerous, man-in-the-middle attacks. I don't want to make this a cybersecurity thing, but this day and age, it's a real issue for businesses.
Absolutely. And I think, we do, CORE, I think does a good job, between the webinars and educating people on cybersecurity and all of the things that we do for cybersecurity here. I know we're very, very passionate about it. But again, as I mentioned before, it's all customer satisfaction. Yeah. If you are in jeopardy of having a cyber incident or something like that, from a quality perspective, you have to take that into consideration in your context of the organization. You just have to. In this day and age, you just can't go without it.
Yeah. And the reason I brought that one up versus the other one, if your customers aren't happy, you're going to find out.
Yeah.
If your suppliers are disrupted,
it's protecting your customers. Without your customers, you don't have business.
Exactly. But cyber is kind of blind.
Yeah.
It just can hit you.
Yeah.
It's like
smacks you upside the head.
Exactly.
Right?
And you don't see it coming where somebody's
We've seen it. We've seen it.
Exactly.
We've seen it. We've heard it. And yeah, it's a true risk.
Right. And all of these opportunities. But, again, going into new markets, adopting new manufacturing technologies, that growth, you've got to identify those and find out how that's going to help your business grow.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
This ends part 1 of Context of the Organization with Suzanne Weber-Smatko. Please tune in next week for part 2, where we'll continue discussing this important topic. And we want to thank everyone who's listened to our podcast today. We hope it's been informative for you. Now, if you're looking for more information about core business solutions and how we can help you with ISO certification, cybersecurity, customized training, even from the beginning of you looking at your context of your organization, please email us at info@thecoresolution.com, or you can visit our website at www.thecoresolution.com. If you haven't already followed us on your favorite podcast platform or YouTube, be sure to do so. That way you won't miss the next Quality Hub podcast when it's released next week. Have a great day.